"Please do remove the cloth," she pleaded, but the rancher did and began shaking. Elias stood on the edge of his ranch, eyes fixed on the distant horizon where the twin suns of Cowboys IV hung low, casting long, golden shadows over the rolling hills. The planet was harsh, but it was home. He had built this ranch with his own hands, planting crops that stubbornly refused to grow and raising animals that adapted better than most humans could. Life was simple, predictable, and safe, until that morning. A small metallic thud broke the usual quiet. Elias turned sharply. At the edge of his property, sitting awkwardly on the dry, reddish grass, was a package unlike any he had ever seen. It wasn't wrapped in normal shipping material. No, this one was carefully encased in a thick, strange cloth that shimmered slightly under the sun's rays, almost as if it were alive. "Strange," he muttered. "I didn't order anything." Before he could step forward, a voice called out from the dirt path leading to his ranch. "Please don't remove the cloth." Elias squinted against the sunlight. A young woman was approaching him, her movements hurried but cautious. She looked barely 25, dressed in the standard explorer's gear of the colony, but there was something in her eyes, a mixture of fear and determination, that froze Elias in place. I don't understand," Elias said, raising a hand. "Who are you and what is that?" The woman stopped a few feet away, breathing heavily. "My name is Mara. That thing," she pointed at the cloth-wrapped object, "it's not safe to open. At least not yet. Please don't." Elias tilted his head, studying her. Humans were naturally curious creatures, and his curiosity was already nagging at him. Still, the warning in her tone gave him pause. He wasn't the type to ignore danger, but he wasn't the type to back down either. "Why not?" he asked slowly. "I've handled dangerous animals, storms that could tear the roofs off our shelters, and dust storms that could blind you in a second. A piece of cloth isn't going to scare me." Mara's eyes widened. "You don't understand. It's intelligent. It can sense intent. If you unwrap it without the right preparation, it might not respond the way you want it to." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Intelligent, you say? Like alive?" "Not alive," she said quickly, shaking her head. "But aware. Think of it as a puzzle that knows you're trying to solve it. And some puzzles can be dangerous if you force them." Elias' fingers itched to touch the cloth. His mind was already imagining the scenarios. Maybe it was a new type of alien technology, lost from an old expedition. Or maybe it was something valuable, something the colony could study. The rational part of him told him to be careful. The human part of him, the part that had built homes on alien soil, raised livestock in unpredictable conditions, survived dust storms that could kill, whispered, "You have to see it." Mara stepped closer. "Please, just trust me. Don't." Elias sighed. He knew she was sincere. He also knew that humans were not creatures who could ignore curiosity for long. "All right," he said finally. "I'll leave it for now, but I'm going to need more information. Who sent this?" Mara hesitated. "I can't tell you everything yet, not until it's ready. But I can tell you this, whatever is inside that cloth was not meant for humans at first. It chose you." The words made Elias pause. Chosen him, by a piece of cloth. His logical mind laughed at the absurdity, but a deeper human instinct, the instinct that had kept his ancestors alive on harsh planets, made him feel a strange sense of awe. He nodded slowly. "Fine, I'll leave it alone, but I'll watch it." Mara gave a small, relieved smile. "Thank you, that's all I can ask. Please, don't let anyone else near it. Not yet." The next hours passed slowly. Elias kept a watchful eye on the object from his porch, noting how the sunlight shifted over the shimmering cloth. Sometimes he swore he could see faint ripples, almost like a heartbeat beneath the fabric. He shook his head. "It's just a trick of the light," he thought. By mid-afternoon, the winds picked up, carrying the dry scent of Cowboys IV's soil across the ranch. The animals grew restless, and Elias found himself pacing. Mara stayed nearby, careful but alert, her eyes scanning the horizon as if expecting something or someone. Finally, curiosity won. Elias stepped toward the cloth, careful to keep his movements slow and deliberate. Mara's hand shot out, but she didn't touch him this time. She only whispered, "Wait." He stopped. He knew he could sense something too, a faint hum vibrating through the soles of his boots. The hum was soft but persistent, almost like it was communicating. Elias knelt beside the cloth, placing a hand just above it without touching it. The vibrations seemed to respond, pulsing gently against his fingers. "Do you feel that?" he asked, looking at Mara. "Yes," she said quietly. "It's waiting for the right touch, not just any hand." "It knows who you are." Elias blinked. "Knows me? How could it? It's just a package." Mara shook her head. "Not just a package, it's a message. Something left behind, waiting for someone capable enough to understand it. You're that someone, I don't know why, but it chose you." Elias swallowed hard. He wasn't a stranger to strange things. Kaelro's IV was full of them, but this was different. The feeling of being chosen, the hum beneath his hand, Mara's insistence. It was all too precise to be random. Hours passed. The suns dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Elias sat cross-legged beside the cloth, listening to the vibrations and feeling a strange connection. It was as if the object was alive in its own way, not conscious like a human, but aware, intelligent, and waiting for a bond to form. As night fell, the colony lights flickered in the distance. The hum grew slightly stronger in the darkness, pulsing like a heartbeat that matched Elia's own. He glanced at Mara, who was sitting silently, her gaze fixed on the cloth. "You believe it?" he asked softly. "I have to," she said, almost to herself. "Otherwise, it won't work. It only responds when you truly believe in what it is and in yourself." Elias frowned. "In myself?" "Yes," Mara replied. "It tests not only intelligence but courage, patience, and faith. It's why I begged you not to remove the cloth. Too early and it could reject you entirely. Or worse, it could hide forever." Elias leaned back, staring at the sky. Humans had always been explorers, problem-solvers, risk-takers. Every generation had faced the unknown, adapted, and survived. And now, here it was, an unknown calling specifically to him. The night deepened. The winds of Kaelro's IV whispered through the grass, carrying with them a strange, electric scent. The hum beneath the cloth seemed to sync with the wind, a rhythm that made Elias shiver, not from fear but from awe. Mara's voice broke the silence. "Tomorrow we prepare. We don't open it fully yet, but tomorrow we begin." Elias nodded. He didn't know what awaited him inside the cloth. He didn't know why it had chosen him. But he did know one thing: whatever it was, it had already changed his life. And as the twin suns disappeared behind the hills, Elias felt a spark of excitement that he hadn't felt in years. For the first time in his life, he realized that being human, curious, fearless, determined, was exactly what this world, this galaxy, needed. And whatever lay beneath that shimmering cloth, he was ready to meet it. The stars blinked above Kaelro's IV, distant and infinite. Somewhere among them, a secret waited. And on the quiet ranch, a man and a young woman waited too, bound by curiosity, courage, and the promise of discovery. The sun rose slowly over Kaelro's IV, casting long shadows across Elias' ranch. The twin suns painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, a calm contrast to the tension that hung over the small ranch. Elias was already awake, his mind restless, thinking about the cloth-wrapped object that had appeared the day before. Mara arrived just after dawn, carrying a small pack with tools and devices Elias had never seen. "We'll need these," she said, setting the pack carefully beside the object. Her hands moved quickly but cautiously, almost as if she were afraid the object could sense even her slightest mistake. Elias raised an eyebrow. "Tools for what? Are we opening it today or just poking it?" Mara gave a small, tight-lipped smile. "We're not just opening it. We're preparing it. It needs the right conditions to respond. If we do it wrong, it may stay silent forever, or worse, reject us completely. Elias nodded slowly. He had learned in his years on Kaelro's IV that patience and preparation often mattered more than brute force. He knelt beside the shimmering cloth, feeling its faint vibrations through his fingertips. It was alive in a strange, subtle way, like it knew he was thinking about it. Mara began setting up a small array of instruments around the object. These measure energy signatures, she explained. It's not dangerous, but it reacts to intention, to thought patterns, to the way we approach it. You'll see soon enough. Elias watched her carefully, feeling a mixture of excitement and unease. He had dealt with storms, wild animals, and unpredictable alien terrain, but this was different. It wasn't something to fight or survive, it was something to understand. And humans, he thought, were good at that. Hours passed as Mara worked. Elias helped when she asked, learning how to adjust the instruments, how to read the faint pulses that came from beneath the cloth. With every adjustment, the hum grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat. It was a rhythm that seemed almost human. Finally, Mara stepped back and nodded. It's ready. Elias' heart raced. Ready for what? Ready to show us what it wants, Mara said. But we have to do it together. It responds to cooperation, to trust, to intention, not just one person's will. Elias took a deep breath. He glanced at Mara, then at the shimmering cloth. Slowly, deliberately, he reached out and touched the fabric. The moment his fingers made contact, the hum intensified, vibrating through his bones. Mara joined him, placing her hands lightly on the cloth as well. A soft light began to glow from beneath the fabric. Elias gasped. The light was not harsh or blinding. It was gentle, almost like it was alive, shifting in patterns that seemed to follow some invisible rhythm. What is it doing? Elias whispered. It's communicating, Mara said softly. It knows we're listening. It knows we're ready. The hum grew louder, forming patterns that seemed almost like words, though no voice spoke. Elias felt a strange connection, as if the cloth were reaching into his mind, asking him questions. Thoughts formed without words. Are you ready? Can you understand? Do you trust yourself? Elias swallowed hard. I think so, he said aloud. I want to understand. The cloth pulsed in response, brighter this time, sending waves of warmth through their hands. Then suddenly it shifted. The cloth itself seemed to dissolve into a soft mist, revealing a small, metallic object underneath. It was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Smooth, reflective, covered in tiny, intricate patterns that seemed to move when he looked at them. He reached out, but Mara stopped him. Not yet. Let it guide you. The metallic object began to project a faint holographic display into the air above it. At first it was just colors and shapes, swirling, shifting, beautiful. Then slowly, the shapes began to form patterns that looked like maps. Constellations, planets, and coordinates appeared, some familiar, some entirely unknown. Elias felt his knees weaken. It's showing us a map, he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Mara nodded. Not just a map, directions, a guide to somewhere beyond what we know. The realization hit him. Humans had always explored, always sought the unknown. And here, right in front of him, was a gift, or a challenge from something far beyond their understanding. The object was not dangerous in the usual sense. It was a puzzle, a test, a door to possibilities humans had only dreamed of. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine, but it was not fear. It was excitement, awe, and the familiar thrill of adventure. Why us? He asked, turning to Mara. I don't know, she admitted. Maybe because it knew we could understand. Maybe because humans are special. Curious, clever, adaptable. It chose the ones it believed could follow the path. The words echoed in Elias' mind. Humans were indeed unpredictable. They solved problems others could not. They adapted when all hope seemed lost. And somehow the object had recognized that. They spent hours studying the holographic maps, trying to decipher the coordinates. Some were within their galaxy, some far beyond. Elias could feel the weight of the responsibility. If they followed these directions, they could encounter civilizations far more advanced than their own. They could discover knowledge that would change everything. Mara worked quietly beside him, adjusting the instruments, taking notes, her face calm but focused. Elias admired her determination. Humans, he thought, were remarkable, not because they were the strongest, but because they never gave up. They explored, they created, they faced the unknown with courage. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the object pulsed one last time and projected a single, clear set of coordinates. Elias felt a thrill run through him. This was it, the first step on a journey that could change humanity forever. "We'll need a ship," Mara said, breaking the silence. "And supplies and courage." Elias laughed softly. "Courage, I think we have that covered." He glanced around at his ranch, the familiar fields, the animals grazing peacefully. "But we'll need more than that. We'll need every skill we've got. This could take us far from home." Mara nodded. "Farther than anyone has ever gone, but if anyone can do it, it's humans. You, me, all of us." Elias stood, stretching his tired limbs. He felt the hum of the object fade as it powered down, retreating back into itself, waiting for them to act. "Tomorrow," he said, looking at Mara, "we start preparing. We'll need supplies, ships, and a plan. And when we're ready, we'll follow it." Mara smiled. "And what if it's dangerous?" Elias looked out at the horizon, feeling the twin suns warming his back. "Then we face it. Because humans, we don't back down from the unknown. We figure it out. We adapt. We survive." The night fell quietly over the ranch, stars blinking down like distant beacons. The metallic object rested on the ground, inert but alive in its own strange way. Elias and Mara sat beside it, silently watching, feeling the weight of the moment. They knew their lives would never be the same. Somewhere in the galaxy, a signal had been sent, and somewhere, far beyond human reach, a puzzle awaited its solution. Elias understood that the journey would not be easy. There would be challenges, dangers, and unknowns they could not even imagine. But he also knew something else. Humanity had a strength that no technology, no alien intelligence could underestimate. They were clever, resourceful, brave. They were human. And that, Elias thought, was why they had been chosen. As the night deepened, the ranch was quiet except for the faint hum of the object, barely audible now but still there, a gentle reminder of the adventure to come. Elias looked at Mara and smiled. "Ready for tomorrow?" "More than ever," she replied. And with that, they began planning, gathering supplies, and preparing for a journey that would take them farther than anyone had gone before, guided by a mysterious object that had chosen them for a reason they were only beginning to understand. Humans, Elias realized, were small in the universe, but they were fearless. They were clever. They were capable of wonders that even the stars could not predict. And tomorrow, their journey would begin. The morning light spilled across Elias' ranch like a promise. The twin suns rose slowly, touching the dry soil with warmth and casting long shadows over the familiar hills. Today was different. Today was the beginning of a journey that neither Elias nor Mara could have imagined just days ago. Elias walked the fields, his hands running over the soil, feeling the pulse of the land beneath him. It was comforting, grounding, and yet it felt like a farewell. This ranch had been his life, his home, his constant. But now, the universe was calling, and human curiosity was impossible to resist. Mara arrived carrying several small devices from the colony's research station. "We'll need these for navigation," she explained, setting them down beside the metallic object that still hummed faintly, "and sensors to detect energy fluctuations in case the coordinates lead us somewhere unstable." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Sensors for instability." "I thought this was supposed to be a map, not a minefield." Mara smiled faintly. "It's a map, yes, but a map from something far beyond our understanding. We don't know what we'll encounter. Better to be prepared." Elias nodded. Humans were explorers by nature, and preparation was part of their survival instinct. He began helping Mara set up the instruments, their hands moving in careful coordination. There was no rush. They both knew that patience was as important as courage. Once the devices were arranged, the metallic object pulsed gently, reacting to their movements. Elias felt the vibration beneath his fingertips. It was subtle, almost like the heartbeat of a living creature. Mara adjusted a dial, and the holographic projection flared to life once more. The maps were more detailed than before. They showed stars and planets far beyond human knowledge, some with familiar markings, others entirely alien. Paths connected distant points like threads in a vast, invisible web. Elias and Mara studied the projection carefully, trying to make sense of it. "This is incredible," Elias said, his voice filled with awe. "It's a navigation system, but also a guide." "It's like it's giving us instructions step by step," Mara nodded. "Exactly, and it reacts to us. Our thoughts, our questions, our decisions. That's why preparation matters. It's not just coordinates, it's a test. It wants to see if humans are ready for what lies ahead." Elias laughed softly. "Humans always are. We adapt, we solve problems, we survive. That's what we do." Mara's eyes shone with admiration. "Yes, but this is beyond anything we've faced before. The universe is vast, and it seems to be calling us." For the next several hours, they studied the projections. They learned to interpret the patterns, to anticipate the next pulse, the next glow, the next set of coordinates. It was a delicate dance of observation, intuition, and reasoning. And as they worked together, Elias felt a deep sense of pride, not just in himself, but in humanity. Humans were small in the galaxy, yes, but they were clever, resourceful, and fearless. They could take what seemed impossible and turn it into reality. They had survived storms, alien terrains, and hostile environments. They had built cities, explored planets, and now, here they were, about to follow a path laid out by an intelligence far beyond their own, and they were ready. By late afternoon, they had gathered enough information to plan their expedition. Elias returned to his ranch house, where he began packing supplies. Food, water, medical kits, tools, everything they might need for an unknown journey. Every item was carefully considered. Every decision mattered. Mara worked on the ship. It was an old exploration vessel, patched and upgraded over the years. She checked the engines, recalibrated the navigation systems, and reinforced the hull. It wasn't the fastest or most advanced ship, but it had human ingenuity built into every inch. Where other species relied on advanced technology alone, humans relied on creativity and adaptability. They could fix, improvise, and improve anything they encountered. Elias watched her work, feeling a sense of admiration. Humans were never content with the ordinary. They pushed boundaries, solved problems, and thrived on challenges. This ship, patched together with ingenuity and determination, was a symbol of that. As evening fell, the two of them sat beside the metallic object once more. It hummed softly, as if acknowledging their efforts. Elias reached out, touching it lightly. The hum strengthened slightly, pulsing through his hand and into his chest. Mara joined him, and together they felt a connection, a silent understanding that the journey ahead was not just a test of courage, but of human ingenuity. "The first coordinate," Elias said, pointing to a glowing point in the holographic map. "That's where we start." Mara nodded. "It's a small planet within reach of our current systems, but it's not just about distance. The object wants to see how we approach each step, how we handle problems, how we work together." Elias smiled. "Then let's show it what humans can do." The next morning they loaded the ship with supplies. Elias checked everything twice, running through lists and double-checking systems. Mara adjusted the navigation array, ensuring the instruments were synced with the metallic object's signals. Finally, everything was ready. The ship's engines hummed to life, echoing the faint vibrations of the metallic object. Elias took a deep breath. Humans were about to leave the safety of their ranch, their home, their familiar world. They were about to step into the unknown, but that was what humans did best. The launch was smooth. The ship rose slowly, then accelerated into the thin atmosphere of Kael'Rose IV. Elias and Mara watched as the twin suns sank behind the hills, leaving the planet bathed in twilight. The ranch, their home, disappeared beneath them, replaced by the vast, infinite darkness of space. For a long while neither spoke. The stars stretched out before them, distant and silent. Then Elias turned to Mara. "You ever wonder why it chose us?" Mara shook her head. "I don't know, maybe because it knew humans could adapt, because humans are clever, patient, and courageous. Maybe because it knew we wouldn't give up." Elias nodded slowly. "Yeah, we do have that reputation." As the ship traveled through space, they encountered their first challenge, a dense asteroid field blocking the path to the first coordinate. The rocks were jagged and unpredictable, moving faster than sensors could fully calculate. Many would have seen it as an obstacle, but humans thrived on obstacles. Elias took the controls. "We can do this. Watch my moves and adjust accordingly." Mara worked the sensors, calculating trajectories and potential collisions. Together, they navigated the field with precision. One asteroid came dangerously close, scraping the side of the ship, but Elias adjusted, and Mara's calculations kept them on course. When they cleared the field, Elias exhaled, feeling a thrill of triumph. "See, humans always find a way," Mara smiled. "Yes, that's why the object chose us. It knew we could handle the unknown, adapt, and survive." For the next few hours, they continued their journey, following the metallic object's guidance. Each coordinate led to another, each challenge testing their creativity, courage, and patience. They adjusted, improved, and learned. Humans were not the fastest, not the strongest, but they were relentless, inventive, and resilient. Finally, they approached the first planet marked on the map. It was small, rocky, and bathed in the light of a distant sun. The metallic object pulsed softly, as if approving their arrival. Elias prepared the landing sequence. "Here we go. Let's see what's waiting for us." The ship descended slowly, landing smoothly on the rocky surface. Elias and Mara stepped out, feeling the alien soil beneath their boots. The planet was quiet, almost eerily so. Strange plants glowed faintly in the dim light, and the sky was filled with colors neither of them had seen before. And then, the metallic object pulsed again, projecting a holographic doorway into the air. A soft, melodic sound accompanied it, resonating with something deep in Elias' chest. Mara looked at him. This is the next step. Are we ready?" Elias smiled, feeling the thrill of adventure coursing through him. "We're human," he said simply. "We're always ready." Together, they stepped through the holographic doorway, leaving the ship and the safety of the known behind. The journey had truly begun. The rocky planet stretched out beneath Elias and Mara like an untouched canvas. Strange flora glowed faintly in the dim light, and the air shimmered with a soft, electric hum. It was alien, unfamiliar, yet there was something almost inviting about it. The metallic object pulsed gently, hovering beside them as if guiding the next steps. Elias tightened the straps on his exploration pack. "So this is it, first step into the unknown." "Ready?" Mara nodded, her eyes reflecting the glowing plants around them. "As ready as we'll ever be. Remember, it's not just about exploration. It's about understanding, adapting, and showing them us." Elias smiled. Humans had always been explorers. On countless worlds, they had faced hazards and mysteries that other species would have avoided. They adapted. They solved problems. They survived. And now, far from their home colony, they would demonstrate that same ingenuity once more. The metallic object pulsed brightly and projected a translucent pathway leading across the rocky terrain. The path twisted and turned, guiding them through glowing plants and jagged stones. With each step, Elias felt the excitement building, a mix of curiosity and awe. After what felt like hours, they arrived at a clearing. At its center stood a structure unlike anything they had ever seen. It was massive, smooth, and metallic, yet organic in shape, curving like the rib of a giant creature. The surface shimmered, reflecting the faint light in impossible patterns. Symbols and patterns moved across the walls, shifting as though alive, yet there was no sound except the soft hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Mara stepped forward cautiously. "It's incredible," she whispered. "Look at the patterns. They're moving like a language." Elias ran his hand along the metallic surface, careful not to damage it. The patterns shifted under his touch, responding to his movements as if acknowledging his presence. "It's alive in a sense," he said. "Not like a creature, but aware, intelligent." Suddenly, the patterns coalesced into a shape resembling a doorway. Light poured from it, warm and inviting. Elias glanced at Mara. "Shall we?" Mara nodded, though her expression was serious. "Remember, this isn't just exploration. It's first contact. We must be careful but also show ingenuity and respect." Together, they stepped through the doorway. The air shifted immediately, warmer now, and filled with a soft vibration that resonated with their bodies. Before them stretched a vast chamber, walls lined with glowing panels. At the center floated a small, orb-like entity, shimmering with soft light. The orb pulsed as they approached. Elias instinctively raised a hand. The orb responded, moving closer, circling them in a curious dance. There was no threat, no aggression, only intelligence observing them, analyzing them. Mara whispered, "It's alive, and it knows we're here." Elias took a deep breath. "Then let's show it who we are." Humans had always been clever, adaptable, and brave. Now was the moment to demonstrate that on a stage far larger than any ranch or colony. He reached out toward the orb, slow and deliberate. The orb mirrored his movements, pulsing in sync. Mara followed, extending her hand. The orb's light intensified, creating a soft hum that resonated through the chamber. Then, something astonishing happened. The panels along the walls lit up in response, forming patterns that resembled stars, planets, and pathways through the galaxy. The orb moved toward one of the projections, pointing with its light. Elias realized it was not just communicating, it was guiding. "It's showing us something," he said, awed. "Coordinates, plans, directions. We've been chosen for more than just exploration. They want us to follow and learn." Mara's eyes widened. "It's teaching us. A civilization far beyond our own, sharing knowledge. But they're testing us too. Look at the patterns. They change depending on how we interact." Elias nodded. Humans were natural problem solvers. They adapted. They learned. They created. He stepped forward, adjusting one of the panels by pressing a sequence of glowing symbols. The orb pulsed in approval. Mara quickly mirrored his actions on a nearby panel. The patterns shifted again, revealing a deeper level of information. A map of star systems, energy flows, and strange, floating constructs that seemed like stations or outposts. This is incredible," Elias breathed. "We're being trusted with knowledge centuries ahead of us." Mara smiled faintly. "Yes, but it's also a test. Can we understand? Can we adapt? Can we use it wisely?" Elias nodded. "We can. We're human. We always find a way." Hours passed as they interacted with the orb and the panels, deciphering the advanced knowledge in real time. Humans had an innate skill for problem-solving that no other species had fully mastered. Where others might have been overwhelmed, Elias and Mara used creativity, logic, and intuition to progress quickly. At one point, a sequence of symbols appeared that neither had seen before. It represented a puzzle, a mechanism that required precise timing, coordination, and understanding of spatial relationships. Elias studied it carefully. This is a test of ingenuity," he said. "It's seeing if we can solve something unfamiliar with only our minds and teamwork." Mara nodded. "Then we do what humans do best. We think, we adapt, and we figure it out." Working together, they solved the puzzle. The panels shifted, forming new pathways and revealing even more information. The orb pulsed with brighter light, circling them in a pattern that felt like approval. Elias felt a surge of pride. Humans were clever. They could adapt to situations that no one else could. They could solve problems without instructions, improvise and succeed where others might fail. And now, far from home, they were demonstrating that same brilliance. As night fell over the rocky planet, the orb projected a new sequence, coordinates to another location, far beyond this planet. Elias looked at Mara. "It wants us to continue, to explore more, to learn more," Mara nodded. "And it trusts us to use the knowledge wisely. That's why we're here. Humans are small in the galaxy, yes, but our ingenuity, it's unmatched. That's why they're letting us continue." Elias smiled. "Then we follow. Step by step, we'll learn, adapt, and grow. Humans always do." They spent the rest of the night cataloging the information, preparing for the next leg of their journey. Each new piece of knowledge was a testament to human creativity and determination. They were learning, adapting, and understanding a civilization far beyond their own, all through patience, observation, and teamwork. By the time they returned to their ship, Elias and Mara were exhausted but exhilarated. Humans thrived on challenges, on learning, on testing themselves against the unknown. And here, they had proven that even on a planet far from home, among technology centuries ahead of their own, humans could not only survive, they could excel. As the ship lifted off the planet's surface, Elias looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, civilizations watched, curious about humans. And somewhere humans had earned a reputation, small, clever, fearless, and capable of wonders that no other species could predict. Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Next stop, we follow the coordinates, see where it leads." Elias nodded. "We'll face whatever comes, adapt, and learn. That's what humans do." And as the ship disappeared into the black expanse of space, the orb remained on the planet, pulsing softly, a reminder of the intelligence that had recognized humanity's unique strengths and the journey that was only just beginning. Humans were small in the universe, but they were resourceful, courageous, and brilliant, and whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The stars stretched out before them, distant and infinite. But humans, Elias thought, had the ability to leave their mark, to explore, to learn, and to thrive, no matter how vast the galaxy. The journey was far from over. But humanity was ready. The ship glided silently through the endless darkness of space, its engines a steady hum beneath Elias' feet. Outside, stars stretched in every direction, a tapestry of light that was both beautiful and humbling. Mara sat at the navigation console, adjusting readings, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the instruments. Between them, the metallic object floated, pulsing faintly as if reminding them of the journey they had undertaken together. Elias leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes for a moment. The adventure had been long, the challenges intense, and the unknowns countless. Yet, as he reflected on the path that had led them here, from a simple ranch on Kael'Rose IV to navigating alien technology far beyond human understanding, he felt an overwhelming sense of pride. Not just in himself or Mara, but in humanity. Humans were small in the universe, yes. But they were clever, adaptable, and fearless. Every obstacle they had faced, every challenge the metallic object had presented, they had overcome through ingenuity, cooperation, and courage. And now, they were approaching the final location projected by the object, a place that promised answers, discovery, and perhaps a glimpse of civilizations far older than their own. The metallic object pulsed more brightly, and the ship's sensors detected a massive structure ahead. It hovered above a planet, immense and geometrically precise, with surfaces that shimmered like liquid metal. The object's pulsing intensified as they approached, and Elias felt a thrill of anticipation run through him. This is it," Mara whispered. "The culmination of everything. We're about to understand why we were chosen. Elias nodded. Then let's do it. Humans don't shy away from the unknown. We face it, adapt, and thrive. The ship descended carefully, landing on a smooth platform that seemed designed for visitors, yet far beyond human architecture. Panels along the surface lit up as they approached, responding to the metallic object's signals. The entire structure seemed alive, aware of their presence, yet peaceful. It was an invitation, not a threat. They stepped out onto the platform, the alien air crisp and light. The metallic object floated ahead, guiding them toward the entrance. As they walked, Elias felt a hum resonating through the ground and the air itself, a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat, welcoming them. Inside, the structure was breathtaking. Towering walls shimmered with light and color, patterns moving across surfaces in ways that defied human perception. Holographic projections filled the space, displaying star systems, energy flows, and floating constructs. Elias and Mara moved carefully, absorbing the information while the metallic object pulsed in quiet approval. At the center of the chamber floated another orb, larger than any they had encountered before. It glowed softly, radiating warmth and intelligence. Elias stepped forward instinctively, and the orb responded by projecting a holographic figure. It was humanoid in shape, but clearly alien, composed of flowing light and intricate patterns. A soft voice echoed in their minds, not spoken aloud, but understood clearly. Welcome, humans. You have been chosen for your ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. You have demonstrated the qualities that make your species remarkable. Elias felt a shiver of awe. Humans were small in the cosmic scale, yet they had proven their worth. We are honored, he said aloud. We seek to learn, to understand, and to grow. And grow you shall, the voice replied. We have observed your species for many cycles. You possess a rare combination of creativity, resilience, and determination. Few civilizations could have solved the challenges you faced. Few would have demonstrated the ingenuity required to unlock the knowledge we offer. Mara stepped forward. What knowledge? She asked. What is this place? This is the archive of civilizations, the voice explained. It contains the accumulated knowledge, discoveries, and wisdom of countless species across the galaxy. You are the first humans to be deemed ready to access it fully. Elias felt a thrill. We can learn from it. Use it wisely. Yes, the voice replied, but wisdom is required. Knowledge alone does not make a civilization great. You must use it to improve, to create, to explore responsibly. Your species has shown that potential. We believe in your capacity to rise. The metallic object pulsed brightly, and holographic projections shifted to reveal complex technologies, star maps, and energy patterns. Elias and Mara explored them carefully, understanding quickly that this was not just information, but tools. Tools that could allow humanity to travel farther, to understand energy and matter in ways previously impossible, and to communicate with distant civilizations. Hours passed as they navigated the archive. Humans had a remarkable ability to comprehend patterns, adapt to systems, and solve problems creatively. Where alien species might have been limited by rigid logic or protocol, Elias and Mara found solutions, made connections, and understood concepts intuitively. Their ingenuity was unmatched. At one point, a particularly complex projection appeared, a puzzle that required simultaneous action across multiple panels. Elias studied it, then smiled. This is exactly the kind of challenge humans excel at. Mara laughed softly. Then let's show them what we can do. Working together, they manipulated the projections, adjusted energy flows, and completed the puzzle. The entire chamber glowed brighter, and the orb pulsed rhythmically, projecting a holographic starburst that illuminated the room. It was a sign of approval, recognition, and trust. You have proven yourselves, the voice intoned. Your ingenuity, courage, and cooperation have earned you a place among those who understand the greater truths of the galaxy. Elias felt a swell of pride. Humans were not the most powerful, nor the most numerous, nor the fastest to develop technology. But they had something unique: creativity, courage, and the relentless drive to solve problems. That was why they had succeeded. That was why they had been chosen. Mara looked at him, eyes shining. "We did it. Humans, we actually did it." Elias nodded. "Yes, and this is only the beginning. The knowledge we gain here, it will change humanity forever. We can explore, learn, and thrive like never before." The orb pulsed once more, projecting a vast map of the galaxy, showing regions humans had never imagined. Star systems, energy flows, and distant civilizations glimmered in patterns of light. Elias realized that they now had the ability to travel, communicate, and learn on a scale previously impossible. "Use this wisely," the voice said. "Your species has earned the opportunity to rise. Remember that ingenuity, courage, and cooperation are the keys to survival and growth. Go forth and make your mark." Elias and Mara stepped back, absorbing the enormity of what had just occurred. Humans were small in the galaxy, yes, but their ingenuity, creativity, and determination had earned them access to knowledge centuries beyond their own. They had faced challenges, solved puzzles, adapted, and demonstrated that human potential was limitless. As they prepared to return to their ship, the metallic object pulsed one final time, a gentle reminder that the journey was ongoing. Elias felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity had not only survived but had excelled, proving that their species could rise to the greatest challenges. Back aboard the ship, Elias looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, civilizations would notice humanity's ascent. Humans were small but clever. They were adaptable, fearless, and capable of wonders that even the stars could not predict. Mara smiled beside him. "So, what now?" Elias' eyes gleamed with determination. "Now we take what we've learned and continue. We explore, we grow, and we show the universe what humans are capable of. Step by step, challenge by challenge, we'll rise." The ship lifted off the platform, engines humming steadily. Outside, the galaxy stretched infinitely, filled with unknown worlds, mysteries, and opportunities. Humans had proven themselves. They had earned their place among the stars. And as the metallic object hovered beside the ship, pulsing softly, Elias knew that humanity's story was only beginning. Humans were small in the vast cosmos, but they were fearless, ingenious, and unstoppable, and the universe would remember them.